400 feet beneath the surface, daylight disappears. The hull groans under pressure, every sound a warning from the deep. Inside this steel giant, longer than 2 football fields, space is a privilege measured in inches. Air is recycled. Silence is mandatory. Comfort doesn't exist. Sailors sleep in coffin-sized bunks, stacked 3 high, rotating through shifts that blur into endless routine. A 3-minute shower is a luxury. Clean clothes, a rare victory. For months there's no sunlight, no fresh air, no voice from home, only the steady hum of the reactor and the heartbeat of the ocean. This isn't fiction. It's the real life of America's nuclear submariners, men and women who serve in silence, guarding a world that will never see them. Their days are defined by discipline, endurance, and duty beneath crushing darkness. What kind of strength keeps a person calm when the ocean is trying to crush them? This is Submarine Shadow, where light never reaches, but stories still surface. Beneath hundreds of feet of seawater, space becomes an illusion. Every surface hums with pressure. Every sound echoes through the hull like a whisper trapped in metal lungs. Inside this machine of war, there are no wide hallways, no private rooms, no open skies. Only narrow passages lined with pipes, wires, and the scent of recycled air. The air tastes faintly metallic, a blend of oil, machinery, and human breath that never truly leaves. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead 24 hours a day, casting the same pale tone whether it's midnight or noon. There's no sunrise to signal a new beginning, only the relentless vibration of the reactor below and the low drone of the life support systems, the heartbeat of the deep. Sleeping quarters resemble coffins more than beds. 3 layers of bunks stacked tight, curtains thin as paper, offering the illusion of privacy. The mattress is still warm when one sailor slides out and another climbs in. It's called hot bunking, and it's the only way 135 souls can share just 94 beds. Each sailor owns a locker no bigger than a backpack. That's their entire world. 6 months of life compressed into metal and memory. Discipline is oxygen here. A slammed hatch, a dropped wrench, even laughter too loud can ripple through the submarine like thunder. Silence isn't a suggestion. It's survival. At any moment, a stray sound could betray the vessel's position to a listening enemy. So, voices drop, footsteps soften, conversations end mid-sentence. Even celebration must happen quietly, under the watch of pressure gauges and red emergency lights. Yet within this confinement, something rare happens. Bonds form not out of choice, but necessity. Sailors learn to read each other's moods through glances, gestures, the rhythm of a breath. Arguments fade quickly, there's nowhere to storm off to. They share stories in whispers, jokes in darkness, victories in silence. In a space smaller than most homes, they build a brotherhood stronger than steel. Outside, the world turns freely. Sunlight, wind, laughter. Inside, time bends. Weeks blur into rotations of 6-hour shifts. Work, drills, maintenance, rest, then back again. There are no weekends, no breaks, only the cycle of duty and endurance. It's a rhythm that rewires the mind, teaching patience, precision, and restraint. Psychologists say 30% of those who enter this life never return. Not because of injury, but because of the weight of isolation. Yet for those who stay, that pressure becomes purpose. They find comfort in repetition, meaning in monotony, and pride in silence. They adapt to a world that most could never endure, thriving in conditions designed to break the human spirit. Somewhere above them, the ocean presses down with the force of thousands of tons, waiting for a single mistake. Down here, there's no margin for error, no room for panic, only control, only trust. And as the crew moves through the narrow corridors, each turn of a valve, each flicker of light reminds them of one truth. In the depths, survival depends on perfection. But even perfection has its breaking point. Down here, silence isn't peace. It's pressure. Every second hums with the weight of water above, the tension of duty below. There's no horizon, no change of weather, no sense of time, just recycled air and recycled thoughts. The same faces, the same corridors, the same endless hum that becomes a kind of heartbeat, mechanical, relentless, alive. Claustrophobia doesn't strike all at once. It seeps in, a slow tightening behind the ribs. You wake up inches from another man's breath, slide out of your bunk, and your shoulders graze cold steel before your eyes even open. The lights never go off, only dim. Even dreams have the color of machinery. Fatigue becomes the new gravity. The submarine runs on an 18-hour day, 6 hours on watch, 12 off for drills, maintenance, and a few hours of restless sleep. There are no weekends, no days off. The rhythm never breaks, so the mind starts to drift. Conversations loop. Jokes lose meaning. A single word can ignite tension because there's nowhere to escape, nowhere to breathe. In this floating world, isolation is total. No sunlight, no sky, no phone signal. Messages from home arrive only when the submarine surfaces, brief bursts of contact that last mere minutes. A wife's update, a child's drawing, then silence again. By the time a sailor learns of a birthday, it's already past. By the time he hears of a death, the funeral is long over. The ocean keeps its own calendar, one that forgets what's happening above. The Navy calls it a controlled environment. But control has its cost. Since 2012, psychologists have been embedded with submarine units, not aboard, but on shore, ready to catch those who return cracked from the pressure. 30% of all personnel losses in the submarine force come not from injury, but from mental collapse. The enemy isn't always another vessel. Sometimes it's the echo of your own thoughts bouncing off steel walls. Crew members invent ways to survive the monotony. They broadcast makeshift radio shows over the PA system. They hold trivia contests. Card games stretch for weeks. A good joke can keep morale afloat better than oxygen. Laughter becomes armor, a fragile sound against the weight of the sea. Still, not all battles are visible. Sleep deprivation dulls reaction time. Anxiety hides behind routine. A misplaced word during a drill can draw a glare sharper than a knife. Every sailor knows that emotions, like sound, travel fast in confined spaces. One angry outburst can ripple through the boat for days. So they swallow it. Down here, strength means saying nothing, but silence doesn't erase the strain. The submarine becomes a pressure cooker of emotion, a micro-society where every mood magnifies 100-fold. Someone hums off-key in the mess hall, and a man 30 feet away clenches his jaw. Someone chews too loudly, and another grips his spoon like a weapon. It's not hate, it's human. The ocean strips away everything but honesty. There are coping rituals, mindfulness exercises whispered before sleep, letters written and never sent, music replayed until the batteries die. Small acts that keep sanity intact. Those who adapt learn to quiet the noise inside, to turn routine into refuge. They don't just endure isolation, they master it. They find stillness within the storm. Yet even the strongest minds have limits. After months submerged, senses blur. The brain invents movement where there is none, shadows shifting, phantom sounds in the hull. A sailor wakes, convinced the air feels heavier. Another swears he heard waves breaking overhead. The deep starts to whisper, and some listen too closely. And then there are moments no training can prepare them for. A drill that feels too real, a sudden alarm, a silent nod from the commanding officer that says, "This could be it." Heartbeats quicken, hands steady. Every man and woman aboard remembers why they're here. To hold the line no one can see. In a war, no one else knows they're fighting. Down here, the enemy isn't distance. It's time. It's the slow erosion of the mind under constant pressure. And the deeper they go, the thinner the line becomes between duty and breaking point. Because in the ocean's darkness, even the calmest hearts begin to crack. What do you think breaks first? The body or the mind? Down here, survival becomes an art form. What began as endurance slowly transforms into ritual. In the absence of sunlight, the crew builds their own rhythm. Small acts that stitch sanity together. Coffee brewed at 0300 hours becomes communion. A joke passed between shifts becomes tradition. When the sea takes away everything familiar, order becomes the new oxygen. Meals are more than food. They are morale. The galley is barely 10 feet across, yet it feeds over 100 souls 3 times a day. The cooks are unsung engineers of spirit, turning scarcity into comfort. Fresh fruit disappears within days, the rest is frozen, canned, or dehydrated. Yet somehow, a warm biscuit or a perfectly timed cup of coffee can lift an entire crew. A submarine runs on discipline, but it endures on small mercies. The danger never leaves. It hums quietly, like a low note beneath every breath. The nuclear reactor never sleeps, its heartbeat a reminder that even perfection leaves no room for rest. Fire drills, flood drills, reactor drills. Every man aboard knows the sequence by heart. Where to run, what to seal, who to trust. The margin for error is 0. A single spark in the wrong compartment could mean 130 funerals and a name carved in brass. And yet, they move with calm precision, not because they're fearless, but because fear has a purpose. Down here, composure isn't courage, it's duty. Every hand steady, every order quiet, every soul aware that their calm is the only thing standing between life and disaster. The ghosts of those who came before still travel with them. The USS Thresher, 1963, lost in deep trials. 129 lives gone in minutes. The USS Scorpion, 1968, vanished with 99 souls. Their stories are still told, not in mourning, but as warnings written in steel. Every generation of submariners carries them like silent mentors, whispering through the corridors, never forget what the ocean can take. But among this constant danger, something extraordinary grows. Brotherhood, the kind that outlasts service, outlives the sea. When a sailor leaves his boat, he doesn't just leave a job, he leaves a home. He leaves a family, forged under pressure greater than gravity itself. They've laughed in silence, mourned in darkness, and guarded one another through storms no one on land will ever feel. In the dark they found each other. In the silence they discovered purpose. These men and women no longer measure life in days or distance, but in trust. The kind built one shift, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. What began as survival has become something sacred, a covenant between steel and soul. They may serve unseen, but their service shapes the safety of millions above. Each patrol, each watch, each sleepless night is an act of faith. Faith that the world above remains free because they remain below. When the hatches close and the lights dim to red, the crew becomes one heartbeat, one purpose. One quiet promise whispered beneath the waves: we will endure. And as the boat moves deeper into the black, the noise of the world above fades, leaving only the hum of duty and the quiet truth every submariner knows. Sacrifice doesn't end where the light stops. It begins there. Would you trade sunlight for silence if it meant protecting millions? Above the surface, the world moves freely. Sunlight, laughter, wind on open water. But far below, in the quiet dark, a few watch over that freedom with nothing but courage and steel between them and the deep. They live where no light reaches, so that others may live without fear. The cost of that peace is invisible, measured not in dollars or medals, but in the moments they miss. A child's birthday, a wedding, the sound of rain. Months pass without sunlight, without sky, without the warmth of home. Yet they do not call it sacrifice. They call it duty. Each submariner carries the weight of national security on their shoulders, but also the quiet burden of being unseen. Their world is pressure and precision. One mistake could end hundreds of lives. One steady hand can preserve peace for millions. They exist in silence, yet their silence speaks louder than any anthem. While we sleep soundly in our beds, they remain awake beneath the waves. When storms rage above, they move forward, calm, invisible, unbreakable. Few will ever know their names. Fewer still will understand what it takes to live this life. But every peaceful dawn owes something to the darkness they endure. They give up the world to protect it. They vanish so others may be seen. They live in silence so the world can live in peace. They serve where light cannot reach. Each patrol is a reminder that freedom has a price, and someone, somewhere, is always paying it. The faces we never see, the voices we never hear, are the ones keeping us safe. Their strength is not in glory, but in restraint. Their courage is not loud, but absolute. For the submariner, the ocean is both enemy and home, a place that tests every limit of the human spirit. Yet even in that darkness, they find purpose, they find unity, they find each other. And when they surface at last, carrying stories few will ever understand, they bring with them the quiet proof of endurance, that courage does not always shout. Sometimes it simply breathes in the dark. Because somewhere beneath the ocean's skin, America's underwater guardians are standing watch. Unseen, unheard, but never unremembered. They remind us that freedom isn't free, and that the truest heroes are often the ones the world will never see. This is Submarine Shadow, where light never reaches, but stories still surface. Which part of this story moved you most? The silence or the sacrifice?